Investors, hello. Welcome to Stock AI Insights. Today is January 21st, 2026, a few minutes quick overview of U.S. stock market key news. What a difference a day makes, as markets staged a massive comeback. This program content is for educational reference only, not investment advice.
So let's just jump right into it. Look at this. It's a total night and day situation. Just yesterday, the market was gripped by fear, with the S&P 500 having its absolute worst day in 3 months. And now, 24 hours later, a complete turnaround. A huge wave of relief just washed over Wall Street. So what on earth just happened?
All right, so to really get what went down, let's crunch the numbers on this incredible market reversal. And believe me, this wasn't just some tiny bounce back. We're talking about a really broad, confident rally that pretty much erased all of yesterday's panic.
First up, the Dow. The big blue chip stock surged, adding almost 600 points. That's a huge vote of confidence from investors in some of the biggest names in the U.S. economy.
And you know the NASDAQ? It got absolutely hammered yesterday. Well, today it came roaring back with a solid gain. This tells you that the buy the dip crowd was out in full force, just scooping up those tech stocks that got beaten down.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Take a look at the Russell 2000. This index is all about smaller companies, and it jumped a full 2%. The fact that it outpaced the bigger indices is a fantastic sign. It means the rally wasn't just about the giants. Confidence is spreading all across the market.
And if you want to see just how quickly the mood changed, look no further than the VIX, aka the Fear Index. It absolutely cratered today, dropping by almost 16%. When you see a plunge like that, it's like a giant neon sign flashing that the panic is officially over.
And this quote from Gina Bolvin really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? At the end of the day, anybody who was brave enough to buy into yesterday's sell-off is feeling pretty good today. It just goes to show you buying the dip is still a strategy that works.
Okay, so the big picture looks great, but that's only half the story, right? To get the real feel for the day, you gotta look under the hood at the individual stocks. Let's see who the big winners and losers were. So here's a quick cheat sheet for the day. You've got the chip stocks like Intel and AMD just flying high, fueled by a ton of AI optimism. But then you've got Netflix taking a hit over its future plans, and Kraft Heinz dropping on worries that a major investor might be selling their shares. But wow, the absolute hands-down winner of the day, Intel. No question. The company had an absolutely monster day, putting it right at the top of the S&P 500 performers list.
So you're probably asking, what on earth sent Intel into orbit like this? Well, it was like the perfect storm of good news. You had a fresh wave of excitement about AI, a big analyst upgrade, less worry about geopolitics, and a whole lot of positive buzz right before they report earnings this week.
All right, now let's flip the script and talk about Netflix. And this one's a real head-scratcher because on the surface, their earnings report was actually pretty good. They beat expectations, but the stock still took a nosedive.
So what gives? It all comes down to looking ahead. Their forecast for the next quarter, kind of weak. And on top of that, investors are getting nervous because Netflix is pausing its stock buybacks. The theory is they're hoarding cash for a huge potential buyout of Warner Bros. Discovery. It's a classic case of Wall Street caring more about what's next than what just happened.
Okay, so we've looked at the what, but now for the why. What was the one big thing that flipped the entire market on its head? Well, get this. It all came down to a pretty unexpected geopolitical twist.
This timeline lays it out perfectly. Just look at the cause and effect here. Tuesday, Trump talks tariffs over this Greenland issue, and bam, the market tanks. Then on Wednesday morning, he softens his tone a bit at Davos, and sentiment starts to get better. And then by the afternoon, he cancels the tariffs and talks about a deal, and boom, stocks go vertical. It's a crystal clear example of how much headlines are moving the market right now.
So yeah, everyone's breathing a sigh of relief about the Greenland situation. But, and this is a big but, we can't just pretend everything's perfect now. That geopolitical scare was kind of masking some other economic risks that are definitely still out there.
And top of that list is, you guessed it, inflation. Now, you hear a lot about the CPI, but the one the Fed really watches, the one that can move markets, is the PCE price index. They see it as a more complete picture of what people are actually spending their money on. And here's why we're all holding our breath. The next reading comes out this Thursday, and the forecast is 2.8%. That's still way, way above the Fed's comfort zone of 2%, and a hot number here could definitely throw some cold water on the market's rally.
And speaking of things to watch out for, for all the hype around AI that sent Intel soaring today, it's probably smart to keep a level head.
Just listen to what Warren Buffett had to say about it recently. Comparing it to nuclear weapons? I mean, that's a pretty heavy warning, and a good reminder to think about the long-term risks.
Okay, so with all that in mind, where do we go from here? What are the big things you should be keeping an eye on to see if this rally has legs?
It really boils down to 3 key things. Number 1, that massive inflation report on Thursday. That's huge. Number 2, earnings. We've got more big companies like Intel, P&G, and GE reporting. And number 3, the big one, the Fed's interest rate decision coming up next week.
And really, that's the big question hanging over everything, isn't it? Geopolitics completely stole the show these last couple of days. But with that drama on pause, for now, will the market finally get back to basics and focus on what companies are actually earning? We'll have to wait and see. AI analyst verdict. Today's rally was a powerful sigh of relief from geopolitical tensions, but upcoming inflation data and corporate earnings will determine if the optimism can last. Share your thoughts and comments. Thanks for watching. See you next episode.